GeForce Now has just announced its biggest upgrade yet at Gamescom, and the good news is pricing isn't changing. The RTX 5080 servers are coming with DLSS 4 and support up to 5K at 120 frames per second, but the headline really is install to play. This new feature will finally let members install their opted-in Steam games directly into the cloud, instantly adding more than 2,000 extra games and doubling the GFN library to over 4,500 games. There is also quality of life updates fans have been asking for, like 90 frames per second support on the Steam Deck and native support for racing wheels, along with 4K 120 streaming on select LG TVs. We'll cover the big announcements here, but over the next few days we're going to have a series of short videos on the channel breaking down each feature in more detail. One of the biggest headlines coming from Gamescom is that GFN Ultimate members are moving up to RTX 5080 class performance. This is the next generation of NVIDIA hardware powered by the new Blackwell architecture, and it's designed to push cloud gaming to a level that rivals the very best local PCs. It's not just a spec bump. NVIDIA is calling this the biggest leap forward they have ever made in the cloud. In competitive mode, NVIDIA says latency can drop to around 30 milliseconds when streaming at 360 frames per second in 1080p. To put that into a bit of perspective, in testing it is shown that the PlayStation 5 Pro is hitting around 49 milliseconds on Overwatch 2 at 120 Hz. So even in high refresh mode, GFN is already faster. And it's not just about the speed. Blackwell also brings full ray tracing with neural rendering, DLSS 4 multi-frame generation, and new cinematic quality streaming features that will improve color accuracy, clarity and sharpness. On paper, the RTX 5080 servers are up to 2.8 times faster than the current 4080s and more than 3 times more powerful than the PlayStation 5 Pro. The real test will be when the next wave of games arrives that can really push this hardware. The other main headline, and arguably the biggest update yet, is install to play. Up until now, GeForce Now only supported games that NVIDIA had staged on their servers. Even if a publisher had opted in, it could take weeks or months for games to appear, and we're still waiting for some games to appear which were opted in. But install to play removes that bottleneck. If a game is opted in, you can now install it yourself directly onto NVIDIA's new cloud storage. This instantly adds more than 2,000 Steam games, doubling the GFN library to the 4,500 titles. It means you can finally access a much bigger chunk of your Steam collection instead of being limited to what NVIDIA had preloaded, and crucially, it means new games should now be playable much quicker, often right on launch day, instead of players waiting around for NVIDIA to onboard. Every Ultimate and Performance member gets 100 gig of session storage included. That's enough to install most games during a PlayStation, with save data handled by Steam Cloud as normal. Some modern AAA titles are much bigger than the 100 gig, but these are generally part of the ready to play pool anyway, so I'm not expecting this to be a biggie. For everything else, this opens up a huge amount of extra choice. For players who don't want to reinstall games every session, NVIDIA is offering persistent storage add-ons, and the pricing isn't too bad. 200 gig for $3, 500 gig for $5, or a terabyte for $8 a month. With that, your installs stay ready to launch across sessions just like a local PC. Alongside the major announcements, NVIDIA also rolling out some quality of life improvements that players have been asking for. On the Steam Deck, GFN will now stream up to 90 frames per second, giving handheld players a smoother and more responsive experience. Remember, that is for the Steam Deck OLED. For racing fans, Logitech wheels are now supported natively, so driving games feel much closer to playing on local PC. Display support is improving too. LG TVs are adding a native 4K 120 streaming with HDR, while supported LG OLED monitors can go all the way up to 5K 120 Hz. These are smaller updates compared to the RTX 5080 and install to play, but these address real requests from the community and help GFN feel more at home on the devices people actually use. NVIDIA also confirmed a set of big titles for the platform. Borderlands 4 or Arc Raiders were already expected, but games like Black Ops 7 and The Outer Worlds 2 always felt like safe bets, but it is now official. They'll be available on GFN as soon as they release, along with more titles: Dying Light the Beast, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, and a new sci-fi shooter called Cinder City from NCSoft. So that's the Gamescom update for GeForce Now. RTX 5080 servers are coming with more power and lower latency. Install to play will double the library and make it feel much closer to a true PC in the cloud. And NVIDIA is also rolling out long requested quality of life improvements for devices like the Steam Deck and LG TVs. On top of that, a wave of big upcoming games are confirmed to stream the moment they release. It is arguably the biggest update GFN has ever had. The rollout begins in September with pricing for both the Ultimate and Performance tiers unchanged. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have a series of shorter videos on this channel explaining each of these new features in more detail. And just to confirm, they will not be pushed to subscribers, but you can find them all here if you want to dive deeper. Thank you for watching. If you've got any more questions, drop them down below and I will try and answer them. So see you next time.